Alright, we're back on this. Today we're going to do hopefully do all this here except for the details on the beading. So first thing we're going to do is soak her down. Looks good. Let that soak a while. That one's off here. I already have some dark burnt umber spread out here, which I use to paint the braids with. The first coat of the braids on what we've done before. And I looked over my head as good as I could. I already see a spot I missed here. Let's check for holidays on this. Looks good. I haven't put painted any eyebrows on him yet. I want to see how it looks when it's all done. And then, if necessary, I'll put those on there. There's always been some question about facial hair on Native Americans. They do have facial hair. Some of them do, some of them don't. So, you just sort of have to play it by ear. So anyway, I'm going to eventually come back and I'm going to paint a lighter color, probably be dry brush on here over the dark brown, which will make those braids look really nice. So at the moment I'm just going to set him up here to dry. Okay, we have raw tanned hide here and here, the fur of the animal here, and then we have the decoration. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to paint the tan hide. To do that, I'm going to start off with yellow ochre. There used to be a color named buckskin brown, but I haven't seen it around for a long time. It's a nice color, but I don't have any of it left other than just touch-up stuff in here, so I don't really want to use it if I can't cover the entire area. So I just have to sort of make my own as I go along. I'll use this dark burnt umber I have already squeezed out to do work on the fur up here. So let's squeeze out a little of this. And some of this here. This is raw sienna. Which is getting down to the end of the bottle. Probably next time I go into Hobby Lobby, they'll have done away with this color too. You never can. Just don't understand their reasoning on how they treat their colors. I think it's geared more to a bunch of elderly women than it is people doing what we're doing here. But we'll get by. That's a nice color. So we'll start with that. Get my brush out here because I have dark burn in it. And we'll take some of this and some of this and see what we come up with. That looks pretty good. And I've put me a arm on here to hold so I can hang on to this. I know that looks pretty yellow, but don't get too excited yet. We're going to come out with I had this little bordered area on the back here because I want the colors to stop back there. I don't want them to go any farther. It just looks good. A little bit more, should I say, professional. There we go. Oops. And with the lighter color, I'm not so worried about getting some over on the dark area, of course, but I'm not really that concerned about getting it over these other areas. Check it over here. You got to squeeze out one color here. This is asphaltum. Come on out of there. It's cold down here in the shop. These colors get kind of thick. This is burnt umber. So let's see here what we're doing. Up around the where the robe meets overlaps. I want to create sort of a shadow there. And here along the top of the fringe, I want that to be pretty dark. And we'll just bleed that color out. Like that. A little darker up there. And coming up the other way just a little bit. Looks good. Get a little red in here. That's good. Now with the real light tan, this is called khaki, but I mean it's just light tan. Come out of there. I'm gonna hit these other areas. Dark right there. My son-in-law and his wife had one of their cows butchered.
Son-in-law.
Son-in-law?
That's what you said.
Son-in-law? My son, excuse me. Daughter-in-law had one of their cows butchered, and The butcher saved the hide for them, and the wife is trying to tan it herself using the Indian brain tan method, which is they still use today because it's such a good method to tan leather with. What they do is they scoop out the brains of the animal, boil it down to where it's just like a soup, and then paint the hide with that, soak the hide with that, stretch it out, let it dry, and then they smoke it. Usually hang it from the top of a teepee to smoke it, get the smoke from the fire on the inside. Let's see what I want now. Okay, we're going to start with blue here. Decorating the hide. Change brushes. Don't put too much color on there at once. You can see that the blue that I'm putting on with the yellow underneath is making a nice muted green color. We don't want it too strong. I wish I'd burnt that where it was solid. I did that up here on the beaded strip. See how that's all burnt, that edge? That way I don't have to worry about painting it. I want it dark up here on top. Beat it out to a lighter color down below. Well, I wanted it dark up there. So. For some reason it's not accepting the color. There it goes. And we'll come down. Oh, it just soaks up that blue. Strange. Oops. That looks pretty good. Okay. Now we're going to, what are we going to do? I'm going to use a red, but I think that this red's burning here, already squeezed out, so I'm just going to use it sort of under paint. For this area here. And I think I'll use some of this blue on this side. And then I'll use some nice rich red here. Actually, I think I'll try this red iron oxide, which is that's sort of a natural red. But then I'll use some of these paints that had them for so long, the plastic's disintegrating. Okay. Now, with a little green here, start with this. This is leaf green, as if there's only one green. It can be a color of a leaf. I like that way that shows up there like that. Try to get that red to do the same thing. Maybe just a little bit of tan or something will help bring that up. Looks good. Stop right there. I'm gonna wash my hands here. So I'll be back in a second after I wash the paint off my hands. Okay, I've squeezed me out a great big pile of asphalt in here, which is going to be the first color of the robe I'm putting on here. Try to be as neat as I can here to outline the edge of the robe. Buffalo fur is pretty dark, but when you try to duplicate that color, you have to take into consideration everything else around it, even the sky. I learned that in art school. And it makes a hell of a difference, you know, when you know these things. I was painting, taking art lessons from this artist here where we live. And I was painting some antelope. And they're springbok antelope from South Africa. And they were out on a salt pan in the Kalahari Desert from a photograph that I took. And their bellies are white. And then it goes up, you know, bleeds up into brown. But I could never get it to look right. And the instructor said, well, remember the reflections. You have the reflection of the sky off of the salt pan, which was basically white itself. So by adding a blue tint from the color of the sky to the belly of the antelope, it just changed everything. It just looked perfect. So here you'd never think that you'd paint white fur on an animal with a tint of blue to it. But believe me, it worked. We watched a movie last night, I think. What was the name? Color?
Yeah.
I think it was on Netflix, if I remember right. And it was about this young boy who wants to be an artist, and how he teamed up with a old Russian painter who had lost his desire to paint. Basically an alcoholic. How their relationship developed. how the boy stayed with them and learned a lot of the methods of painting. And during that time, the old fella became once again interested in his art. A good movie, except the only bad thing about it was the prolific use of the F word. I don't know why they do that in movies. I think they think you get extra credit, if they cuss a lot. It's kind of stupid. Anyway, it's a very good movie. That's pretty thick there. But the movie showed the importance of having someone to show you things. You go to school and learn a lot in art class, but if you have a person who can sit right next to you and teach you, and I don't mean a seminar. Seminars are all right, but I don't know. You get 15, 20 people taking a seminar from somebody, and they're running around with the egg timer, making sure everybody gets the same amount of time as the person before them or whatever. You might learn a little bit, but you're not going to really learn a lot. Okay, so I've got the brown on here. Let's just say that's the basic color of the buffalo fur. Now I'm going to use some of this dark burn umber to add some shadows in here. And then I'll do that down on the edge of it too. Another thing that's, I notice, I don't agree with it. I might upset people by saying this, but when people put their carvings, photographs of their carvings on, say, some of these websites, their Facebook pages and stuff, and everybody tells them, oh, it's so wonderful, oh, you're doing such a terrific job. And a lot of times, just the opposite's true. You're not helping anybody out by saying those things. You can give them encouragement, but you should also give them some constructive criticism if you can. But if you're not that good of a carver either, it's best just to be quiet. Because you're not going to help them that much. Okay, we got some shadow in here. That's just my opinion. You can take what it's worth, which is probably not very much at all. All right, got a little red here. Might as well put some of that on there just for... See how quick that changed that? To me, that's the fun of painting, is when you see things like that happen. Up here on top, we've got the sun shining down on that first, so it's naturally going to be lighter. Bring these colors into that dark, tone that down a little. Looks pretty nice, huh? Now I'll leave it alone. I will. A little carried away right there. Okay. Now, for the beaded strips, I'm going to use a color, it's called mudstone, which is sort of a brownish gray. Either light gray, but it's got a little brown in it. It's a pretty color. And this is going to be the underpainting of the beaded strip. I'm going to paint white over the top of that. So I'm going to just take a break, give Judy a break here, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint this on here. Okay, just finishing up the underpayment here. One thing to remember, the color gray is a good color because it covers just about anything, especially red. You won't find another color that will cover red like gray does. Like this blue here where I slopped it over. I'm going to paint that with the gray. And then when I come back with the white, it'll cover that. Even over here where the wood was scorched. with my torch. I'll put some gray on there, and it'll cover that. Okay. Let me dry that real quick. Can you hand me that dryer? Start popping up. The dreaded holidays. You think you're done, and then they start popping up. Okay. Now, while I've got this out here, what I'm doing here is I'm painting the shadows first before I actually paint the color. Okay, now I want to know what all that laughing was. That was the kid next door coming over to give me some constructive criticism. No, that was actually my wife's telephone. Her ooh, I got it. Get the paint out of my brush and just touch the edges up. Kind of bleed those two colors together. That's pretty good. Okay, I don't want to use white for my beads. I'm going to use that, where'd it go? Where did you go? The parchment color. Well, it disappeared. It's around here somewhere. Where are you? Oh, darn. Better turn turn the camera off, Judy, while I look for that stupid ball. There it was. Guess where it was? It was right there. Nuts. Anyway, parchment is, it's a nice color. It's not white. Pure white, I mean. But it's the white that looks good for beadwork. Now this will take a couple coats, because white is a color that just doesn't seem to cover anything, no matter how hard. Or you try to get it in one coat, but forget about it. It's not going to happen. Anyway, getting back to what helps you learn, some of the things that help you learn, but one of the most important one is your ability to accept criticism. Don't when someone tells you how wonderful your piece is, kind of look at it with a skeptical eye, or be a skeptic, because they could just quite possibly just be blowing smoke, and that don't help you at all. Learn to ask for honest criticism. Don't tell me how wonderful I am. Tell me what my faults are. God damn it. Excuse my language. That's what you want to hear. Yeah. Now I'm going to hit that with the dryer, and then we'll come back and give it another coat. Okay, got this all ready to go. Now we're going to set this all aside to dry before we do our beading details. I've been working on my feathers here. I've just used a reddish color here for the wrapping on the quills. Now what I'm going to do is just use a little bit of the mudstone paint the end of the quill. Like that. Okay. I can't remember whether I showed you about putting the modeling stuff on there. Did I do that?
I think so.
Anyway, that's that modeling paste, acrylic modeling paste. So I'm going to use just yellow ochre as the first color. This is the color of the fluff that Native Americans always put on the base of their feathers. And when this is dry, I'll come back and highlight it with straight yellow. Probably take a couple coats. Like that. And I'm going to put, no, hang on here. Let me dry this out. Come back and touch that up with pure yellow. And I got some black here to finish these feather tips. Okay, so just let that dry somewhere. I'll have to get something to hold that to keep it off. Otherwise the tips of my feathers will stick to the paint, or stick to its surroundings. Okay, so that's going to do it for this video. In the next video, we will do the beading, and that will pretty well wrap that up. And then after that comes the varnish and putting everything back together again. So until then, I'll talk to you later.